Welcome to Foundation Friday. The dedication and covenant of silent unity was signed on December 7th, 1892 by Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, founders of the Unity movement. It is unlikely when they signed this covenant that they had any idea how far-reaching unity would be as it evolved into the church we know and love today. We invite you to join us as we explore and share some of the original ideas, teachings, and writings of the men and women who created the foundation of the Unity Church.
Hi, thank you for joining us for our Foundation Friday program. Today, we are going to go back in time and visit the wisdom of Lowell Fillmore, who was a minister, a teacher, and an administrator for the Unity movement in the early days, back when. You may know that Lowell Fillmore was actually the oldest child of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founders of Unity Foundation. All that Unity is started with this little family, and all of their children were very involved in Unity movement. So enough of that. This reading is called Fraidy Cat, Fraidy Cat, Fraidy Cat. And as usual with Lowell Fillmore's writings, at the end of this article, he will offer us 7 different affirmations with the intention of having us use one affirmation each day as we work on the principles he offers us in this reading. Here we go. Remember that you can do it if you think you can, and you can't do it if you think you can't. One who thinks or says, I can't, denies his God-given power and ability. You are never beaten until you admit it. You have reserve power and intelligence that you can call out of your inner nature simply by saying, I can. Our Siamese cat's experience may point a lesson to some of us. She is an agile cat and can climb trees rapidly, jump from chair to table, and from the landing on the stairs to the hard floor 6 feet below. I have seen her do it. But at times she becomes frightened and forgets her ability. She may climb a tree and sit in a fork for a few feet above ground, afraid to come down. Several days ago, she left in the morning and was gone all day. We started a search for her in the evening. After looking over quite a little territory in the vicinity of our home at Unity Farm, we finally heard her voice coming from somewhere down by the swimming pool. Following the sound, we spied her perched out of our reach on a high windowsill of the clubhouse overlooking a small ravine. Below her, less than 3 feet away, was a broad ledge that she could see and that she could easily have reached in one graceful bound, and from there one more little jump would have brought her to safety. But she was afraid, and she would not try. She must have sat on that windowsill all day, and she was crying pitifully when we found her. For some reason, she had lost her usually fearless manner and doubted her ability to jump down to that ledge. Something in her must have said, I can't do it. I found a broad plank 2 inches thick and placed one end upon the windowsill and the other end on the ground. But it still took a good deal of coaxing to get her onto this plank. It seemed as though she even doubted that the plank was strong enough to bear her weight, for she carefully put one paw and then the other several times to see whether or not the plank was really solid. Finally, she was encouraged by our reassuring words to creep out just a few inches. After a time, she did crawl slowly down to safety. The Fraidy cat possessed the power to free herself from her position without our help, but something within her caused her to doubt that power. Most of us are fraidy cats at times. There may be some things we cannot do, but most of the things we are afraid to do, we could do if we believed in our God-given powers. I asked a young aviator not long ago why some planes crashed in practice work. He said he thought it was often because the pilot gave up to the sudden fear that he could not control the plane. Some little thing would go wrong, which would cause him to become fearful and lose his self possession. With a positive attitude and determination to control the situation, he doubtless could have overcome the difficulty and made a safe landing. When a person gives up to fear, his wits refuse to work. When something goes wrong in your life experience, remember to give yourself up to God instead of fear. The I can't attitude reduces your ability and your strength. But when you say, I can, and ask God's help, your ability will become quickened and your mind more active, because it is then open to God's light, which reveals ways and means of doing the right things that you might not be able to think of doing when you're afraid. And best of all, you will have a feeling of security because you are being guided by an intelligence greater than your own. This method will always help you, even though you are not in great danger, for it is in accord with a universal principle. Do not give up the ship to fear, but give it to God. I like that. Let that mind be in you, which was in Christ Jesus. Christ Jesus was the greatest pilot of all. It was the mind of the Father in him that did mighty works through him. It is said that some serpents have power in their eyes to draw little animals to them, attracting and holding their attention until their will to escape is gone. I do not know from personal observation whether this is true or not, but I do know that when a person fixes his attention upon a negative condition, he surrenders his will to that condition, temporarily at least. When you fix your attention upon God, you surrender your will to the source of all wisdom, power, and goodness. Therefore, turn your attention towards that which is good and away from that which is evil. When something seems to go wrong with your ship of life, do not allow yourself to think for one moment that all is lost. Do not give up, but hold steadily to the assurance that God is guiding your mind, your will, your hands, your feet, and know that He will show you how to save yourself. I really like that reading. And now we'll go into the affirmations that he offers us. But before we do that, as I was reading, I was thinking of medical diagnoses that when the doctor says, here's what's wrong with you, and we say, oh, okay, thanks for telling me, we're in acceptance of that diagnosis. But when we say, God is bigger than this, and I trust my faith in God, I put my faith in God and I cannot inherit sickness. Then it's like we're choosing not to empower the disease. And that might not work for us all the time, but it can be so tempting to believe the things that people tell us about ourselves instead of knowing the truth that we are divine and divinely held and loved. Okay, here are our promised affirmations. And what we're doing here is we're learning to put faith over fear. So the first affirmation he gives us, and I'll repeat these a couple of times. You may have to pause and write them down. A couple of them are long. But this first one is short, and it's one we all know. I can do all things in him that strengthens me. And I'll read that again, but I think we know it. I can do all things in him that strengthens me. Did you get it? Okay, here's the next one. Fear has no power over me. Because God's love enfolds me. Perfect love casteth out fear. And casteth is spelled Casteth. I'll repeat that again. Fear has no power over me. Here's the next part. Because God's love enfolds me. And then the last piece, perfect love casteth out fear. This next one's a little shorter. I'll break it in half. God gave me not a spirit of fearfulness, but of power and love and discipline. I like that one. Okay, I'll read it again. God gave me not a power of fearfulness, but of power and love and discipline. Okay, this next one is long. I'll break it up and keep it slow. Well, and we know this one. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. That's the first part. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. There's more. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. I told you it was a long one. Yea, I will uphold thee. And this is the last part, with the right hand of my righteousness. And if you miss some of that, don't worry, I'll repeat it. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. It would help if I said it right. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee. With the right hand of my righteousness. Okay, this next one is short and one of my favorites. There is nothing to fear, for God is here. I'll give you a second and then I'll repeat it. There is nothing to fear, for God is here. And this next one is short as well. Here we go. Steadfastly facing God, I shall fear no evil. I'll give you a second and then I'll repeat it. Steadfastly facing God, I shall fear no evil. And now we're at the last one. It's a little bit longer. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid. Yea, thou shalt lay down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. That's the end of it. I'll read it again for you in just a moment. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid. Yea, thou shalt lay down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. Okay, that brings us to the end of Fraidy Cat by Lowell Fillmore. I certainly hope that you enjoyed that reading. What a wonderful reminder that fear really does cripple us, that we make it up in our own mind and then we manifest it in the world. When Mr. Fillmore gave us the example of the cat losing faith in its ability, I was remembering times when I was swimming and tired and not sure if I could make it. And I put my feet down and realized, well, this is shallow. I could have been walking the whole time. I didn't need to be swimming, or at least for the last little bit. Or times when I couldn't see what I was jumping from, and I was worried that, oh no, this was going to be awful and thinking how to roll. And I jump and it was really just a few inches. It's funny how those things come back to you when you're reading stories, when you're thinking about fear. And it's amazing how fear can really change everything about us, the way we think, the way we breathe, the things we try and do. And we can seriously put ourselves on that ledge and not realize all we have to do is just step off and we're safe because God is there. Okay, that's all we have for you today. But before we go, please know you matter. You are sacred and you are so, so very loved. Namaste.
Thank you for joining us, and let's stay connected and grow in spirit. We are on Facebook. Search for Unity Church of El Cajon and follow us and like our posts. You can reach us on YouTube at Unity Church of El Cajon. Please subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and leave comments which can help us improve. We are on the web at unityofelcajon.org. Email or call our church office to receive our weekly newsletters, which lists all of our activities and opportunities to learn and grow together.